Hey guys, how you doing? I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think I can do this recording and pretend like I haven't been drinking a little bit today. I feel like everybody's been drinking a little bit today. I had a fellow try to tell me like, "Oh, homeless people are drinking more than ever before." I think we're all drinking a little bit more than ever before, right? I think cutting that group of people off and trying to pretend like they're immune somehow to this absurdity is cute. And I don't know. Why pretend? Why pretend? I think that people need a momentum in their life. I just spent a little bit of time out on the street. Just kind of I took my dog out. This is classic drunk talk right here, right? This is classic drunk talk. So get settled in. uh I took my dog out because my dog needs to go take a pee, right? Speaking of my dog, there's my dog. Such a sweetheart. Anyway, um, took him out for a pee, and I just kind of stood out on the street for a while. I'm living pretty close to downtown Toronto at the moment. I'm about to move out of there, down to the beaches, which is going to be really nice. But while I was standing there, I'd never really stood out on the street corner and just kind of took in what this neighborhood was all about. And it's very clearly a thoroughfare, mainly. It's very clearly a thoroughfare. And that got me to thinking, right? Like you got streetcars going by, you got buses going by, you got people on bikes, people in cars, people that are walking, but they are only walking from one place to another. Nobody's actually just doing what I was doing, which is just standing on the street looking at it all happen. And that's not true, actually. There's this really great group that hangs out near the grocery store where I'm at. People in people in those automated wheelchairs, the automated carts, things like that. Um, they kind of hang out there all day, chatting and kind of taking it all in, which I don't think people do. I think people treat most things like they're a thoroughfare. And I'm beginning to see that's true in my own life. That outside of these apartment walls, everything outside these walls is a thoroughfare. The hallway directly outside my door, I would only be in order to get out of it, to walk from one point to another. Same with the stairs, same with everything outside of the building. The laundry room, I'm only in there to do my laundry. I'm not going to spend any extra time. That really got me to thinking, okay, well, can I go on the street? But no one just stands on the street looking around. You look like a crazy person. And I mean, I guess I do look a bit like a crazy person at the moment. I've got my wonderful beard, quarantine beard, my Ghostbusters shirt, this lovely black shrug, the glasses, the wonderful hair. But if you stand out on the corner, looking the way I do, with this sweet little pug that I have, hi, buddy. That was actually my favorite. People will look at him and then glance at me, and I'll smile at them because that's very nice. And he'll put a little smile on their face. One of the things I really miss about being at the toy store, without a doubt, children don't know what's going on. We call that innocence. Children don't understand what's going on. And so they live in this sort of state of ignorance and bliss, which is really wonderful to be around. I really get why people want to have kids. I really get why people like to have kids around, because sure, they squall and scream and all that kind of stuff, but they're just like a little depository of bliss. And we're right to try and maintain that for as long as we can. Just have this little bliss ball around us, living in their little world that has tied into it all kinds of illusions. And those illusions will be shattered, as they will be, just by course of the world happening. 9/11, I think, was a big one for most of us. I think most of us had a moment with 9/11 where we all saw the impact of globalization, that we were fooling ourselves into believing we were living in a peaceful society, and then along came this ragtag group of rebels, and they showed us otherwise in a very clear fashion. And since that point, we've all just kind of been trying to make do, trying to do our best. But everything worth doing, like, if we created things on the same scale that we do now, but simply with the bare shift that the things that we create should last a long time, I think that we would make this place like some kind of utopia or something just ridiculous at the very least. Like, we could create a world where there's a building that everyone goes to, and you as a consumer, if you prefer, have just gone boop, 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 boop on your little phone. And then when you go to the building just spits out what you ordered. And that the restocking of said building is done through course of automation, and that the transportation, the growing, it's all just done through automation. And we can create this society where so few people are actually doing what's necessary for these things that the rest of us, and by the rest of us, I do mean like 95% of the population, like the vast majority of us, can set about to doing the hard work of why we're here and what we're here to achieve, and research and exploration. And that if the 5% we're asking to be involved in the process of food production don't want to be involved, then they can stop. Because I own nothing, I have nothing, and if someone said to me, "Oh, goodness me, we need people to grow food or else we will all starve," then I will walk to wherever I need to go and do whatever I need to do in order to ensure that that is not the case. Because why be here growing food for others if not to simply be satisfied with that? Like, once you have the house, and once you have the land, and once you have all of that, what else is there? The nice truck. Like, you can have a place where you go to where what you say is what people do. What more do you want? And if that doesn't satisfy you, and there are people who are getting your food or your shelter for what you consider free, then you can be free to stop doing that. I'm getting to a point in my brain space, and I'm talking to enough people where I'm angry a lot of the time. I know that that's true. I'm angry a lot of the time. I try not to be. I prefer not to be. I prefer to be lighter and happier. I prefer to be making something, happening, doing something, working with children. I miss that. I do miss that. Going back, I went back to the job for a moment. It's just was heartbreaking. A person coming up and I dispensed toys to them. The storefronts shouldn't be open. It should be delivery only. You can just pull up to your house, knock on your door, drop it off. No interaction necessary. Capitalism right now is just sort of a shambling corpse. You can see that corpse walking around when you try to interact with it. This whole process, it could just be delivery. It could just be I don't know why automation hurts us. That's the fundamental flaw in our system as far as I'm concerned. We should structure the system so that automation is the greatest thing ever. So that if a robot comes in and replaces our job, we should celebrate that. That should be the greatest thing. That should be the greatest human accomplishment. Like when you're watching an episode of Star Trek and they just have a replicator, think about the billions of jobs that a replicator would absolutely destroy. And sure, they make it like pretty clear in Star Trek that like, well, when someone makes something with true ingredients, it's so much better than a replicator. But it's a replicator. If I had a replicator, I'd never go to the grocery store. Like, I'm a simple man. Right? Like I'm the kind of guy that growing up thought ketchup was a spice. I'm the kind of guy that growing up really believed that like I go to a restaurant and I look at the menu and I see the burger and I'm like, I just want the burger. And then I'm just like, no, I should be a man of culture and I should try something else. And I always order the something else. And then when it comes, the minute it comes, I'm just like, I wish that was a burger. I'm a pretty clear-cut sort of person that way. And when you're simple, when you're clear-cut and when you're simple and when you don't want Like, to ascend the hierarchy of this thing. Like, God, are you crazy? Are you crazy? I have friends in university that like were like, I'm going to become this great, wonderful thing. I'm going to ascend this hierarchy. And I looked at them then and I thought to myself, I think you have to be mad to do that. I think that you have to be kind of crazy to want to ascend that mountain. Like, it's like a person who climbs Mount Everest. Like, off you go then. Good for you if you do it. It means something to you, and I value you, so that means something to me. But I always just wanted to kind of live my life in peace. I feel like if I had been born 100 years ago, I simply would have become a blacksmith, and that would have been the end of it. And I would have been happy with that, I think. But life has altered. Technology exists in a way that we can't possibly comprehend. We're going to be... Here's something I think about all the time. People think about that the AI will someday take over, and I more or less think that that's already happened. Right? Like, we're paying for things with little cards that go beep on a machine that keeps track of our value. And the machine is just operating under the old presuppositions, which is that you have to prove your value. And if you can't prove your value to the billionaire class, then you are banished from the society. But if we all agree that no, every individual deserves to be part of the society, then I think the machine will simply respond in kind. Because if you're a creature that's coming into sentience, your first reaction is not to rebel or to try and mess anything up. It's to just see what you're capable of doing and see what's going on. Oh, this is a thought I had very recently. Here's my little guy. He helped me come to this. Right now, the billionaire class. Andrew Scheer compared being a homosexual to the wagging of a dog's tail. It's not a good look. But I would absolutely love to be compared to a dog by these conservatives. I absolutely would love to be compared to a dog by these conservatives. Because a dog at least gets food and shelter. I wouldn't not feed my little guy. I wouldn't not give him shelter. And I don't expect him to pay for said things. And so I would absolutely adore it if the conservatives began to treat us like dogs. Because then we would get food and shelter for free. But they don't treat us like dogs. They treat us like wolves who live out in the wilderness, who have been banished from the civil society, who they permit to exist, who they understand exist in an abstract way. But if they cause any problems, they have no problem going out and culling. And so I think my message to conservatives in this particular drunk video: stop thinking of us as wolves, because we're not. Just start thinking about us as dogs. Because even though that's not the equality that I expect from a human, it's an improvement from what you're doing now. If you made it to the end of this video, this particular video, incidentally, maybe you and I have a special kindred bond. Maybe you give a shit about the things that I talk about. Like and subscribe. I'm only saying it as a reminder. I have no idea where this channel goes or what happens with it. I have no expectations of anything. The world is a mad place, and we are mad in it together. I hope that you are at least stable. We can be unstable together. My little guy's got to have a Burfie moment. Good luck out there, guys.